Hi, this next video is an attempt to show you how to use HHManager as your roster editing program. I don't use it, so I'm not going to be the best person to show you how to do this, but I can give you the basics anyway. I've already opened my season file, as you can see. In this drop down, you just select your team. This drop down will allow you to select which level that you're looking at, or you can select all of your players, which will show everybody from all levels total. Right now I'm going to leave mine on Major League. You can separate their edits and statistics based on splits versus lefty or righty pitchers, and you can look at their statistics from current season last year or the last 3 years. Right now we're in the off season, so if I look at current season, no statistics show up at all. So I mentioned that you can toggle between stats and ratings. Ratings are, we usually call them edits. You've probably read about in the PDF and have an understanding of what they are. If you select that, you can see, and you can also rank them like a regular spreadsheet from top to bottom. So if you look here, for example, Marv Balanos is my #1 power hitter by edits with 30 home runs. If you go to statistics, and I set this from last year, we can see if Marv Balanos was my home run leader, and he was up there, but not as high as Benjamin Ramos. And you can look through all of these statistics from top to bottom. And of course you can do that on any of the levels. You can alternate or toggle between batters, pitchers. Oops, that would be up here, batters or pitchers. And of course, if you're looking at pitcher statistics, you can set that to pitching statistics. You can even set fielding statistics. If you just want to look at one player, for example, we'll stick with Marv Balanos, double click on him, and his little card pops up here. From here, you can do a couple of things, including if you want to see what his minor league statistics were, just check that box. You can look, no pitching statistics obviously, but you can look at his fielding statistics. See how many errors he made. As you can see in the minors, he was training, so he was making a bunch of errors. I've used him primarily as first baseman, and you can track those statistics there. These same edits that appear on the cards on the website, the player cards, appear here as well. You can see all of these. I guess I don't have to read them to you, but including familiarity at position, so you know if you can play one of these positions. These are his general batting edits. Oh, excuse me, we've got it on statistics. There we go. I guess if you click on a player, by default it goes to his edits. Let's see, if you click on statistics, does that change? It doesn't look like it. The important thing that you're going to need to know how to do with this is to edit your lineups. So over here, you've got your lineups, as well as your pitching rotation and selected closer. To edit these lineups, first of all, versus left and versus right need to be filled out, or else you'll get an error when you try to export your roster, but these are never used because we have DHs in both leagues. If you go to versus left DH and right DH, these are just the lineups that will start the game based upon if the opposing pitcher is a righty or if he's a lefty. My right-handed lineup is filled out. I'm missing 2 spots in my left-handed lineup. So I'm going to look at my batters. I'll just set this to batting. These are my players. The trouble is this lists every player, not just the players who are on your bench currently. So I need to fill in a couple of spots. So if I click on Kevin Grass, for example, I want him to fill in this spot. I've got this spot highlighted in turquoise. Just to double check, I'll click on Kevin Grass again. If I click Assign Player, boom, he's in there. And at second base, I'll put in Joe Willems. Again, click there, click the player, click Assign Player. And I need a DH. We can put in Jeff Hunt. Assign player, and he's in. If I wanted to maybe drop Tugboat Machias down to 9 and move Jeff Hunt up to the top, if I click Tugboat, and then Jeff Hunt, boom, it swaps those right there. If I want to move Jeff Hunt to the 4 hole, as you can see, just click anybody, and then another person, and it automatically swaps them. It keeps their position in the field the same. You'll have to do that separately, and as sort of a fail-safe, by mistake, if I put in 2 catchers, you can see I've got a little red box around the catcher right there and right there to remind me that I need to fix that. Put him back at right field. Same holds true for if you're changing your pitching rotation. I've got Oxford, Jones, Sarah Cove, Hicks, and Doles. If I wanted to put Ed Stevens in instead of Jean Oxford, I would click that spot, click Ed Stevens, assign player, and he'd be put in there. The little dot here indicates that he's going to be the next pitcher to pitch. So if for my next sim I wanted to make sure we were starting on this guy here, just click that dot. That doesn't really matter. You would start at the top, obviously, on opening day, and then unless you make any changes, I would just let it go in order, because after players pitch, they will become fatigued, which you would see right here. But he's not fatigued because he hasn't pitched any games. You don't want fatigued pitchers pitching at all, because then they'll get blown out and pulled out of the game early, and your bullpen will suffer. This works the same way at all levels, except for in your minor league levels, you'll see you have only one lineup, and it's highly recommended that you don't leave anyone on your bench in the minors, because if you do, their fielding percentage statistics will take a huge hit. They'll drop. So say they were at a 980 fielding percentage. If they went a year on the bench in the minors, that would drop down to 960 or 950 even, which kind of ruins them for their future, any chance to play in the major leagues without making a ton of errors. So you would go through your minors the same way. If I were doing my batters, the only thing to know is that you don't need to have a full lineup in the minors. Even if you only had one player at the minors, you could just put that one player in the lineup spot, and that would be fine. Something to keep in mind, though, is pitchers, regardless of their endurance, develop quicker and better if you put them in the starting rotation. So even if all of your pitchers at the minor league level of AAA were guys with low endurance, and they would never be starters in the majors, put them as starters in the minor leagues. This will not hurt them. In fact, it will hurt them much worse if you put them on the bench, or put them in the bullpen, rather. So you'd go down and set your lineup for all levels, starting at the majors, go down to AAA, AA, Single A, making sure that you have all of your top stars starting in your lineups and in your starting rotations. And once your lineup is all set, you'll go to rosters and export, and you can export that anywhere you want. I will export mine to the desktop. If I put Sim1 Monday as my file name, just click save, and it'll pop up right there. And when you go to the website, right now we're in the off season, so it's asking for a draft file, but you would normally just go right here where it says submit roster. This is asking for the draft file, but this would normally say roster file. You click browse and select your file, and you would submit it. If you're not making any changes, you had no injuries, and you don't want to change anything in your lineup from one sim to the next, you also will have the option during the season to click no change, and then it will ask you if you want to submit any instructions with your no change. Don't put anything in there unless you have actual instructions. But if you do have instructions, for example, you've got a player coming back after the 5th day from injury, so you could put, please put Grass in the lineup at first base when he heals. And then whoever's doing the sim will get that instruction, and if it's somebody other than me, they'll probably remember to do it, and if it's me, 50% chance I'll forget about it. Okay, that explains a very brief tutorial on how to work High Heat Manager for your roster manipulation. Please use the chat feature on the website. Anybody that is around is going to be able to help you out with any questions that you have. My knowledge on High Heat Manager is pretty limited, but